being the breadwinner in a relationship? Are you okay being the breadwinner in a relationship?
I'm not the breadwinner in the relationship.
Are you okay being the breadwinner in a relationship?
I'm not the breadwinner in the relationship.
Are you okay being the breadwinner in a relationship?
I'm not the breadwinner in the relationship.
Are you okay being the breadwinner in a relationship?
I'm not the breadwinner in the relationship. You mean any man I'm with?
Yeah.
I'm not the breadwinner in the relationship.
But would you be okay if you were?
I'm not. There's no man I know, from you, or he got a regular job, he work at a warehouse. He is the head of the household. He is the breadwinner. I will chip in as he see fit because he's the head. Now, this is the way I was raised. A lot of women not gonna agree with me.
No, they ain't gonna agree with that.
I'm cool if you don't.
The breadwinner, you know, he has normally, that person has the larger voice in the relationship. Are you okay being the breadwinner in a relationship?
I'm not the breadwinner in the relationship. You mean any man I'm with?
Yeah.
I'm not the breadwinner in the relationship.
But would you be okay if you were?
I'm not. There's no man I know, from you, or he got a regular job, he work at a warehouse. He is the head of the household. He is the breadwinner. I will chip in as he see fit because he's the head. Now, this is the way I was raised. A lot of women not gonna agree with me.
No, they ain't gonna agree with that.
I'm cool if you don't.
The breadwinner, you know, he has normally, that person has the larger voice in the relationship.
Even if I make more money, it doesn't make me the breadwinner.
Oh, okay.
I am advice and concurrence. He is the head of the household. This is what I believe.
You got the money, you making the money.
No, this is what I believe. He's a man. He is the head of households. People need to start reading Ephesians. That's what I believe. I may be strong-willed, I may make money. I want to make his life better and easier, but I'm not the head of the household.
I'm a historian, and I've spent a lot of my life trying to get people to stop thinking that the dilemmas that we face in work-family policy stem from the collapse of the traditional male breadwinner family. There is no such thing as a traditional male breadwinner family. It was a late-arriving, short-lived family aberration in the history of the world. It's over. It's time to get over it. For thousands of years, any family that needed to work understood that everybody in the family needed to work. There was no word like male breadwinner throughout the medieval, early modern era, colonial America. Wives were called yoke mates or deputy husbands, not nurturers. There was a lot of male dominance in the world, but the reason there was so much male dominance through the ages was because men needed the labor of their wife and their children so bad that they had to be the boss and they had to control them. That was the main reason for it. When men took a wife, and this was true right up until the end of the 18th century, they didn't usually do it because they had just fallen helplessly in love. They took a wife because they needed to expand their labor force or their land holdings. They needed to make a political or military or business alliance with the woman's family, or they needed a good infusion of cash, which is why they were often much more interested in the dowry than they were in the daughter. You probably remember the old, it was invented in the 16th century, the marriage ceremony where the woman promises to love, honor, and obey. That was certainly, obey was a very important part of it. But the man promises charmingly that with all my worldly goods I thee endow. Well, that was spoken by the wrong gender to the wrong spouse. What happened through most of history, and what happened until the 19th century, was that when a woman married, everything she inherited, brought to the marriage, even her personal jewelry, and anything she earned within it, belonged to the man. So male breadwinners were a contradiction in terms. There was no such thing. It wasn't until the 1920s that a bare majority of American children came to live in a family where the husband earned the income, the wife was not working beside him in a small business or on the farm or doing labor herself, and the children were either home or in school instead of in the factories or the fields. Not till the 1920s. That family form backed off, receded in the Great Depression and World War II. It roared back in the 1950s thanks to an incredibly aberrational economic and political situation where a government flush with cash was paying for veterans benefits to 44% of young men starting families, in investing in infrastructure and jobs at a rate 3 times greater than today, combined with the economic boom and the much greater rates of unionization. That was a period when your average 30-year-old man could buy a home on 15 to 18% of his own salary, not needing his wife's. That is gone. It is gone for good. And yet, it was in that period when we first formulated the work policies, the zoning regulations, the school hours, the social support programs that assumed that this family would last forever. That forever, when a worker went out to work, there would be somebody else at home to take care of the children and do all the chores. For one brief shining moment, we organized the rest of our work policies on that. And by the way, that wasn't such a shining moment. As early as 1960, 90% of American housewives surveyed by the Gallup poll said that they did not want their daughters to do what they did, to marry early and not to have a job. They wanted them to delay marriage and to go out and go to work. Yet despite that initial discontent, despite the fact that this was a fluke, this is the way we organized our family life. Today, in a sense, I would argue, we have gone back to the future. We've gone back to the 2-earner families, but in a totally different way. What is unprecedented about family life today is that women and men have equal rights to their own earning, equal legal rights. A woman can support herself if the marriage is unfair, and in most marriages, the ideal is that it should be fair and that men and women should both have access to the challenges and joys of doing work outside the home and of raising the children and sharing the housework at home. And yet, we still continue to organize our work policies, our hours, our family life, our social support systems on the basis of this fleeting little male breadwinner family of the 1950s. The only major change we've made since the 1960s is adoption of the Family Medical Leave Act, which, to be frank, is so inadequate, so embarrassingly inadequate, and so far behind the rest of the world that the one thing we can say about it is America is number 181. 180 countries have better work-family policies than we do.
A pastor say, God can forgive you women for your sins, but men don't have to. That's honest. And we're told we're all going to have a happy ending when half of us are not. A quarter of women over 40 now are single and childless. The truth is, a lot of people are not going to have happy endings. A lot of people are not going to be bailed out of our bad decisions. And the truth is, we deserve whatever we get for the decisions that we made. And some women are going to have to start planning accordingly and saving money to die alone. The truth is, the church sells these women dreams. Why are the men leaving the church? That's the question. Men are leaving because the churches have turned into a concert. They've taken all the order out of the church. They only talk about male sin and never talk about female sin. They'll talk about men's porn addiction, but never talk about women's addiction to attention and social media. They'll talk about men sleeping around, but they'll never talk about women not being virgins on their wedding day. All they do is simp and they pander to women, and it doesn't help us. And if you look at a lot of these churches, their top donors are single women. And so all of the media, all of the messaging in society and even in churches is pandered to women instead of being honest with us.
A loving father, but without a reference for God, without a loving father, a godly father, you don't have a reference. So all you hear about God, he gloom, doom, he want to kill you, destroy you, tear you up, you know, you sin, you going to hell. But when you have a loving father, you get to understand, wait a minute, God loved me. He just wants me to love him. That's all. So without the hearts of the fathers turning to the children, let's keep going. Look at this. And he says, And he says, and the heart of the children to their fathers. So when the hearts of the fathers turn to the children, the hearts of the children turn to the fathers. Y'all there? He said, now if this does not happen, talk back. If this don't happen, this is the spirit, the demonic force behind feminism, keeping the hearts of the fathers from the children. This is the demonic spirit behind the education system, keeping the hearts of the fathers away, so the children are not raised by the fathers and the parents, and raised by the system, which hates God. I don't have time to get into that, but this is the spirit behind it, keeping the father. You think this the black man don't want his family, but you don't see the system that's put in place to keep him from his family, to run him away from his family, to get him out from his family. That's what welfare says. That's what all that was about. That's why they exalt you. That's why they give you all the money as a woman to go to school and give you everything and make you kind. And y'all, the black woman is the most educated. You the most educated because they give you everything to be educated. But if you go over and look at what are they giving a man? Nothing but jail. Jail. That's what they give the man, jail. Why? Because they rather have him in jail, because how can he turn to his children and then his children turn to God if he's in jail? So the only thing for the black man is jail and death. Let's keep moving. And look, I'm trying to say locate. Locate yourself. And look, he says, now if this does not happen, if the prophet Elijah does not come and turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children don't turn to the fathers, if that doesn't happen, he says, I will come and smite the earth with a curse. So if the hearts of the father, and this is true in your life, if your baby daddy heart don't turn towards his son or his daughter, then there'll be a curse on that child. And the curse that comes on a people that where the hearts of the fathers do not turn to the children do not turn to the fathers, is the curse of eternal immaturity. Because it is fathers that develop you to grow up. It is fathers. Mothers don't develop. Mothers nurture. You don't even need a parent to be raised. Raised is this age. You can grow up. You just gonna get grown. But to be developed as a man, you need a man, a father, and not just it's okay to have a surrogate, but it's nothing like your father, because you come from him. Therefore, he has the authority and the right to speak directly to you. Is y'all getting anything out of what I'm saying? He says, unless I come and smite the earth. Now, this is the curse. Say the curse. This is the curse on us as a race. This is the curse on this nation. And this is the curse on you. Because we never knew that all of the stuff, all of this Americanism and Western stuff has been causing us to look at how every sitcom, show, movie is caused you to be, the father is a buffoon. He's stupid. He's angry. He's always the one that don't understand you. The father is like always rebelling against the father. The mother is like the sister, cool with everybody. It's the father that's wrong. The father left. Everybody's divorcing, but it's the man that's wrong. Why are they doing that? To get in the heart of the child, not to trust the father, or better yet, not to trust masculine authority. Like you can't trust, but you can trust feminine authority, but you can't trust a man. So if I, as a boy, can't trust a man, I may not want to be one. So it's easy for these boys to receive being homosexual because they don't have trust for masculine anyway. But they have trust for feminine because all that was ever there was the feminine in the mother. So this is why this spirit is being stirred up. It's being stirred up like that because Satan, now what's the war? Now I'm talking about the battle. The battle. But the war here is when the spirit of Elijah comes and turns the heart of the children back, the day of the Lord comes. The day of the Lord is judgment. So the enemies of God understand when the hearts of the fathers turn to the children, that's the end of us. So if I know that, what am I going to be doing? Everything in my power to stop the father's heart from turning to the children. So they put policies and stuff in place to keep the fathers away from the children and not over the children and outside of the children and doing everything but wanting their kids. And you even got our women ignorant about the role of the father. Well, they don't even think they need it. Now the woman says that she is the father and I don't need no man. And Satan is clapping because he's saying that's the program we need to stay the judgment that's coming on us for the destruction that these people have caused on this earth and have caused to God's people. You're there. Now, how does his program work? Well, the program works because he understands without a father figure or a godly man, you will not be developed or mature. So everything in our culture sells, promotes, pushes everything on us that's immature. This is why they say 40 is the new 20 and 60 is the new 40. Why now? Why now don't we see grandmothers with aprons on? Why don't we see? Nobody wants to get old. It's like this cosmetic everybody's sucking it in and spanking it up and, just pressing it on and doing all. Why? Why is that? But see, when we have fathers, the mother was secure enough to get old. That's a good word. That's a good word, Dad. Because she didn't have to look young to get a man because she had one. But now the women got to be younger, try to look younger because they ain't got no men. They still out there cougaring around. Trying to get a man. So they have to do what young girls do, which keeps them immature. And when you immature, you ain't got no wisdom to pass down to the next generation. You have no wisdom. So our daughters and sons are looking for wisdom, and there's no wisdom because everybody is immature. And all you can share. Now, have you been on YouTube and watched the videos of the little girls out there fighting and the mother standing over them fighting with her and the mother's out there promoting the fight? What is this? It's immaturity. Y'all there? Have you looked at 50-year-old rappers? Brother 50 years old with a baseball cap and back sagging pants. That looks funny. It's eternal. This is the curse. Oh, y'all don't want to deal with this. This is the curse. We stay eternally immature. Not only in our appearance, but in our thinking, in our mentality. We go into That's why Paul said, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, we don't have that understanding of when we go from a child to a man. So we go on forever being a child. We go into relationships being a child. That's why we always switching up other people, because immaturity says you are only here for me. Immaturity is selfishness. So I ain't in this to give you nothing. So I'm gonna eventually run you off, because who wants to keep on being used? So that's why we keep changing up people, because immaturity says Prince Charming is around the corner. He gonna ride in on a white horse eventually. That's fairy tale fantasy, what you learn as a child. And you still looking for Prince Charming to ride around the corner. But you don't realize how much the frogs have broke you down. Because that is a fantasy. That Barbie Ken is a fantasy. Some brothers coming is a fantasy. Anybody that comes in your life that God sends, they gonna need work, and you gonna need work. And you're gonna have to work at it to make it into the happy ending.
Because the church also had an interesting position that again violates most of our notions about traditional marriage. The church did not demand that marriage take place in a church or be blessed by a priest. Because the church also had an interesting position that again violates most of our notions about traditional marriage. The church did not demand that marriage take place in a church or be blessed by a priest or anything like that. And in fact, through most of history, marriage was a relationship between families. It wasn't enforced by church or state. Not till 1754 did England require a license to get married. Well, an early pope said,
Maybe we should make the validity of a marriage dependent on it happening in church. But the tradition in the Roman Empire had been that if people lived together and thought they were married, then they were married. And if they lived together and thought they weren't married, then they weren't married. There was no legal or formal requirement. And so his advisors pointed out to them that if you made the validity of a marriage dependent on it having been contracted in church, the majority of Europeans would instantly end up illegitimate. Position that you were married, they would prefer it if you had banns and parental consent in a church marriage, but if you said that you would exchange words of consent out by the woodpile, no witnesses, no priest, then you were married.
Maybe more than you even think. Call it Marriage 101. It's presented by the woman who wrote the book on it, literally. Stephanie Kuntz is the author of Marriage, A History, and she gives us a complete history of marriage, abridged.
For most of history, the most preferred marriage form was not one man, one woman, but one man, many women. That was throughout the majority of cultures in the world, and it's the one most referred to in the first 5 books of the Bible.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. 1. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility. And then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, you know, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Thinking about holding up for no sex, my man. You know, if a girl, you know, she get having a baby, carrying a baby, hey, that's on her. You know, I'm not gonna stop my pleasures because of another woman.
What about birth control? What about condom?
Girls don't like them things. They don't like them things. Girl tell you to take them things off. They figure that you saying that they filthy or they dirty or something.
Single. 42% of black women have never been married. That's double the number of never married white women. I look forward to the day. I look forward to being married. It's just not that easy. For starters, there are more black women than black men. 1.8 million more. So even if every black man in America married a black woman today, 1 out of 12 still wouldn't make it down the aisle.
Big difference between the snow bunny and the African queen is the snow bunny will find a black man in progress. She will find him on the job. She will find him on the university. And that snow bunny will see a black man with potential and she will invest in him. She will help him level up. And then when the sisters see him 5 years ago, 5 years later, he's a millionaire. And the sisters say, look at that sellout. He went and got a white girl. But guess what? When he was looking for a sister to help him level up, to invest in him, none of them wanted it. You know why? Too many black women want a finished product. Black women have, stay with me. Black women have to stop expecting men to be a finished product. It's harder on us. Help him level up. Stay with me. Help him level up and become what you need him to be. Because the big reason why these snow bunnies are running off with black men is they're meeting them when they have nothing, but they believe in their vision. And black women are waiting for him to cross the finish line. And by the time he crosses the finish line, the snow bunny then snatched him off.
Now,
still single. 42% of black women have never been married. That's double the number of never married white women.
I look forward to the day. I look forward to being married.
It's just not that easy. For starters, there are more black women than black men. 1.8 million more. So even if every black man in America married a black woman today, 1 out of 12 still wouldn't make it down the aisle.